Thanks for tuning into the BoshNRoll channel. Liking the video and subscribing to the channel are free and easy for you, and they help me out a lot. If you want to go further with your support, Patreon and YouTube membership offer access to the BoshNRoll Discord community, early access to lists, written content, things like that. You can have me play your deck on the channel, and the highest tiers come with individual coaching sessions. If you use YouTube membership, you also get sweet badges and emotes integrated here into YouTube. You can support the channel while you shop at tcgplayer.com by using my affiliate link in the video description, and you can play any deck anytime by using a cardhoarder.com loan account on Magic Online. If you want to wear your support, check out the merch store. And of course, thanks for being here. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome to another BoshNRoll Legacy video. Today, I am revisiting a deck from a few days ago on the channel. This is Spunky's Sentinel Stoneblade, featuring Esper Sentinel. And I gotta tell you all, in talking about the deck and promoting the deck and writing my video titles and descriptions and everything, it's really annoying that this is a Jeskai deck featuring a card named Esper Sentinel. Saying like Jeskai Esper Sentinel tempo is just like really weird to put in your head. It's like, well, which one is it? Anyway, that aside, this deck is a Jeskai deck featuring Esper Sentinel. And a couple days ago on the channel, I played a really low to the ground version with Stifle and Daze, and I didn't really like what the deck was doing. The plan made sense, but the execution had some flaws. The deck was built like a Delver deck. It had 19 lands in it, and 4 of them were Wasteland, and then it was blue-white in the main, and all the red cards were in the sideboard, but there were 2 Volcanic Islands in the main. There was so many white cards that it was hard to pitch anything to Force of Will. There were just a lot of problems with the deck. If you ever dazed, then Stoneforge Mystic was set back a turn and you were never casting your True Name Nemesis. It was just like a lot of tension in the list. Spunky has asked me to revisit the deck, so here I am doing that. At the end of the last video, I suggested leaning in on red mana and just playing Expressive Iteration, or leaning out of red mana and putting a mountain in the sideboard and having better mana and having more lands overall. And I actually built the lean into red version. I had one with 3 Expressive Iterations, 0 basic lands, just 3 Volk, 4 Tundra, fetch lands to get them all. And I realized that Snapcaster Mage is probably a better card advantage 2-drop that's actually a 3-drop. If we're looking at Snapcaster Mage compared to Expressive Iteration, if we choose Snapcaster Mage, the deck gets to play basic lands, which it doesn't get to do if we play Expressive Iteration. If we choose Snapcaster Mage, that's a creature. In a deck with Stoneforge Mystic, picking up the weapons is kind of important. Snapcaster also does other things when you don't need card advantage. Like, there were a lot of positions in the last league I played where it's like, really need a prismatic ending here, and I drew like Flusterstorm or whatever. And Snapcaster Mage giving you that flexibility is just really nice. I added a land to the deck, and I cut 2 Wastelands and added a land overall. Like, this doesn't need to be a 4 Wasteland deck. This needs a couple of Wastelands just to keep Merit Lage and Urza Saga and those sort of things honest. But you should never be just like firing off a turn 1 Wasteland to try to tempo them out, because that's not actually what this deck does. The updated version Spunky sent me still had Daze in it. We agreed that Stifle is really bad. At the end of last video, Stifle had done very little other than Rot in my hand, so I did not like Stifle. Every time a format rotates or a ban list happens, people play Stifle for about 2 weeks and remember the card isn't actually good. And I did my time in Stifle land, and I'm off it. But the list Spunky updated me with did still have Daze, but it also had more True Name Nemesis, and it's just like, you can't add 3-drops to your deck and keep being a Daze deck. That's not how deck building works. So I cut the Dazes. I have Force and Negation in here. That's the kind of counterspell this sort of deck is allowed to play. I have Spell Pierce. That's the kind of counterspell a deck like this is allowed to play. And then I put 2 powerful interactive permanents in the form of Jason Narset, or Teferian Narset. I also had a Jace, but that wasn't in the same slot. This is a tap out control deck. This is not a tempo deck. It's not a daze deck. That's just not how this works. And honestly, once the dazes and the 4 wastelands and even the stifles aren't in the deck anymore, I'm not sure if Esper Sentinel is where we want to be. We're starting to just drift bigger into classic Jeskai Stoneblade. But I'm going to let Esper Sentinel chill for another league here, see if this is a card that is playable on its own, or if this really needs the support. Like, it doesn't matter that it's an artifact in this deck. I'm not trying to get Metalcraft or Affinity or anything. I don't have ways to increase its power organically, other than like equipping Batterskull to it in the mega late game. Due to deck space, I'm not playing Sword of Fire and Ice, which is the equipment that can go on Esper Sentinel the best and increase its power. And the reason for that is, in the previous league, we also spent so much time just not equipping things because answers are so good right now, or if I even had a creature, I couldn't risk spending 2 mana to try to equip it just to get it plowed or bolted in response. And the deck just didn't have that many creatures. As a result, in the main deck, I have only the 2 creatures, only the 2 weapons that are also creatures. Stoneforge Mystic should represent a real must-answer clock. It sucks when you're on the other side and you cast Stoneforge Mystic, you tutor up Sword of Fire and Ice, and they have the Lightning Bolt. They just don't care. They'll just bolt whatever you put the sword on after you commit 4 mana to that line. I don't want Stoneforge Mystic to be ignorable. I want this to be a 2-drop that they have to answer, or else they're facing down Batterskull or Kaldra on the following turn. And that's how I've built this deck to do. 2 Murktide Regents still ruling the skies at the top end. I added a Jace because this deck does get into grindy situations. In the previous league with it, I ended up in a lot of situations where it was like, okay, the board is stable. I'm like attacking for 1 with an Esper Sentinel, and my hand is Kaldra or something like Prismatic Ending or Kaldra, like something not super proactive. And there was not really any card I could draw that just broke it open. Even another Stoneforge Mystic is at like 2 turns to break it open. True Name Nemesis would increase the clock in a situation like that, but there was no Jace to just, okay, now this game is on. And I do want access to a card like that. I have my Basic Mountain in the sideboard because there are matchups where you want your Pyroblast in and they play Wasteland. And it did come up in the previous league that Delver wasted our 2 Volcanic Islands, and then I had red cards in my deck that I just couldn't cast. And I don't want to live that life. This is the deck I am playing today. Esper Sentinel is on the watch list. This might just be better. If we're insistent on playing Stoneblade, I think that Esper Sentinel might be better just as a bunch more Planeswalkers, like get a second Teferi in here, another Jace, and some other stuff in that slot. If we're insistent on playing Esper Sentinel, I think we should have Daze and 4 Wastelands or some additional artifact synergy. But in the meantime, this experimental list is mostly just a regular Jeskai Stoneblade, but we have 4 Esper Sentinels. Let's see what effect this guy has on the board in what's otherwise a pretty normal mid-range control shell. Let's get into it. I'm on the draw with Ponder into turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. I like this hand. This is a very Stoneblade hand. There's no Daze, no Stifle, no Esper Sentinel, confusing what the plan is here. And I'm going to keep this. I don't know my opponent is on. I don't recognize their name. But in my brain, people with Black Lotus avatars always play combo. Let's see if that's actually true or if I'm just faking myself out. Okay, Mishra's Bauble's not usually in combo decks, unless it's 8 cast. This is looking pretty Delvery to me. This situation makes me pretty glad I was able to fit a basic island, basic plains into the deck, because I can basic island Ponder. Ooh. Or I could basic plains Esper Sentinel. Alright, Ponder. You're gonna chill. And I am gonna play on basics, because I can. Okay, cool. Set them back a land, because they didn't want to play through Esper Sentinel. Not bad. That kind of just took the play when we were actually on the draw. They picked up their land. They're not ahead on board, so now I'm a land drop ahead of them moving forward. Oh. Well, I was about to start talking about how I can ponder, hit my third land drop, play around Daze, try to get the Stoneforge Mystic into a safer position versus just jamming Stoneforge, but being able to double spell here and play around Daze the whole time is just easy money. I'm going to put Prismatic Ending and then 2 lands on top of my deck. Lightning Bolt, okay, and they can use Wasteland to pay the Troll Toll. That's cool with me. Now I get to Stoneforge Mystic. I'm going to Stoneforge first and then probably Ponder. Okay. I have a force there. I know my top card is a land. I'm out of basics. I could fetch now, Ponder, get wasted, or I could just draw my 4th land and Ponder next turn. I think I'd rather have 4 lands. Delver. Their force pitch to Delver. They're down to 2 cards in their hand. I'm going to Ponder first. Force of Will, Murktide Regent. Okay. I like this spread of cards. The question is, what order do I want to have them? I think I want Force of Will in my hand, Murktide Regent on top, and Ponder under it. Don't shuffle. Play Prismatic Ending. I don't mind if they wasteland me here. Because my plan now is Murktide Regent with Force backup versus their 2 cards in hand. If they waste me, they're just going into low resources in a game where I kind of want us to both have low resources. If they can protect their Murktide Regent, if like their last 3 cards in hand are somehow Murktide Regent Force blue card, then I'm in trouble. Okay, there's a really dirty trick here. If their last card in hand is Daze, if I cast Force of Will, they can wasteland my fetch land and then Daze in response to me cracking the fetch. But if I crack the fetch first to play around Daze, then I lose my Murktide Regent. The question is, how bad is it if I get dazed? And if I get dazed, then I would be shuffling in my Murktide Regent. All right. I'm just going to hope they either don't have that play or don't know how to do it, because I really need that Murktide Regent, and I need the second blue source to cast it. Okay. We're in there. Going big as I can on the Murktide. It's a 7/7. Now I have to hope this holds. All right, they're just firing off a Wasteland in the end step. Don't need to do that. Wasteland doesn't cost mana. You could draw for turn, see what happens, and then make a decision about that. Because right now, being behind against a 7/7, I would rather have more mana in play than less. Because it depends on how many cards in their deck use colorless mana at all. Holding Tarn appeared off of their iteration. All right, drawing Swords to Plowshares is just the best thing, because their own Murktide Regent is the only thing I'm really worried about out of a Delver main deck right now. I don't expect them to have Pyroblast in the main. They can make a 6/6 Murktide right now, or just play a land and pass. I'm pretty okay with that too. Uh-oh, they're doing stuff. They have Brazen Borrower. That would be bad. Unholy Heat. Oh, okay. That deals 6, and then they have Lightning Bolt to finish it off. Alright, yep. I have put them to Hellbent, and I have a removal spell in hand. Alright, next person to draw a good spell is going to be in position. I don't mind them drawing a creature. I really don't want them drawing a expressive iteration. That's what I'm worried about here. How about Unholy Heat, though? That was a performance for that card. Shit. Okay. Dragon's Rage Channeler. I'm gonna draw, see if I find another answer to that thing. Alright, the multiple wastelands are starting to add up here. I would really hate to plow this thing but get Murktided, but I would hate even more if they counter my plow and then kill me with this thing. I'm gonna go for the plow now and hope to find another answer to Murktide if that is their last card in hand. Nope, even worse. Yep, iteration. And they found a wasteland. That doesn't really do anything. Delver. Okay. If they had Murktide, they would have cast it. Right, now I can answer a Murktide. It's not pretty, but it can be done. I do have to survive this Delver, though. Delver didn't flip, which means they drew a land or a Murktide. Okay, pass the turn. Full Aspie Boy. Can't imagine they care very much about this card at this point. It does trade with Delver if it doesn't flip, though, and I will snap that block up so fast. Oh, they do have a main deck Pyroblast. Jesus. Alright, well, life just got really difficult. I was counting on this Force of Will or the Narset. If Force didn't do enough. Time to draw a Prismatic Ending deck. How about that? Help me out here. Well, I am not gonna crack a fetch into Wasteland knowing that they have an easy Pyroblast for my Narset. I'm gonna try to be patient, use my life total as a resource here. There are a lot of non-blue cards that help me here. They've also been just clutching jealously to this 5 mana, which is representing a hardcast force. Come on, removal spell. Killing me, deck. Killing me. I am in double bolt range now. Going down to 6. Jeez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I crack 3 fetches, I die, so I can't even play this fetch land. Yep, we were in a stable situation, and the opponent brainstormed into iteration, and from Hellbent, they now have 5 cards in their hand, and they're ahead on board to my nothing. Now, even if I do somehow survive this turn and answer Delver, I'm still just dead to Lightning Bolt at any time. Nope. All right, wow. That was a crushing. Cards I want in my deck here. Blusterstorm. Is it Staticaster? Pyroblast. Umezawa's Jite. And the Festivities. Gets some of their creatures some of the time. I probably just want any answer. Court of Cunning. The previous build had Court of Grace, which at 4 mana is pretty hard to defend against the Delver deck, but Court of Cunning being 3 is a little more tempting than that. Okay, Jace and Force of Negation are definitely coming out. Some number of my Force of Wills are coming out, maybe all of them. I have a lot of 1-for-1 answers to Murktide Regent, so having this clunky 2-for-1 that gets Pyroblasted easily is not where I want to be. This isn't really a matchup where Wasteland is good at all, so I'm just going to upgrade it to Basic Mountain. Just turn 1 land into a different land here, rather than cutting a spell for an extra land, though having an extra land against the Wasteland deck is not the worst place you could be. They did care about Esper Sentinel a lot in the early game, and it was a dead draw in the late game, which is the thing I was saying in the deck tech as well. True Name's very good, Murktide's very good, Kaldra is pretty good. None of the white cards are cuttable. In that case, what is the next worst one? Is it Narset? Maybe I don't need End the Festivities. I think End the Festivities is the worst sideboard card here, though Staticaster is kind of the same thing for 3 mana instead of 1. And maybe it's Staticaster, and I'll bring in End the Festivities. Okay, this is what I'm trying. If that mid-game Esper Sentinel that I drew was Teferi or Narset or Jace, like I specifically called out that slot as like maybe more high-impact 3 drops. That would have been a very different game. I'm going to keep this. There's no basic lands, but this deck isn't really built to play on basics. It's just like a thing. It's more of an insulation than a plan. And they have turn 1 Sentinel on the play and multiple removal spells lined up afterwards. Let's do that. Delver, okay. I can answer that easily. And I like that they played on basic land there. I'm going to play the Tundra and then end the Delver. I said play the Tundra, but played the Scalding Tarn. Yeah, I'm going to play the Scalding Tarn. I don't think they're going to cast a blue card I really need to answer right now, but giving me the option is nice. Yeah, I'm just going to untap and answer that. Well, that's not really a huge deal. I'm not going to play into Daze if I don't have to. Okay, cool. Now I can fetch my... Ooh, can I? I was about to say now I can fetch my basic mountain, but True Name Nemesis costs double blue, and that's kind of a place I want to be. I know fetching basic mountain here will punish me in the long term. I'm just going to lean in on my Volcanic Island. Red Blast the Delver. I know Plow answers Delver, but so does... Like, Plow and Red Blast both answer Murktide, and I have a lot more white mana, and white mana is more stable than I do red. And I am not going to react to that card. Okay, cool. Now I can offer a trade. I can just attack. If they cast an instant and surveil a sorcery, though, I'm in trouble, but I have Swords to Plowshares. Okay, I'm going in on Stoneforge Mystic. No arguments there. And I have enough creatures that carrying Jite could be a reasonable thing that happens, but if I get Kaldra, they are required to interact with Stoneforge Mystic on their turn. That's the thing I was talking about in the deck tech of they could wait on a lightning bolt and sort of dance around it for a while. If I get Jite, just pick off my creatures one by one, but Kaldra is like, no, you need to answer Stoneforge Mystic right now. They kept the card on top of their deck with Surveil, and they can draw it right away with Bauble. Bauble makes any instant or sorcery delirious for DRC, so that one's pretty close to being active. There's the lightning bolt. Now this thing has to fight. I could go for Plow here. If it flushes out a Daze, then True Name gets to hang out, but I'd rather just have the board clear. And I don't have another answer to Murktide. They just drew whatever card they put on top. I think I want to Ponder here. If I can answer the Dragon's Rage Channeler, cool. Alright. I think I want Spell Pierce now, or Spell Pierce isn't that important. I want Plow now and Stoneforge next turn. And I'm just going to plow this thing now because the Esper Sentinel bubble is still up right now, where if I go to their turn, they could like counter it, pay the toll, and then unload on cantrips. Iteration. Yeah, this Sentinel tax is actually a pretty big game. They exiled Force of Will. Okay, that one's not getting cast this turn. They know Stoneforge is on top of my deck now, which is fine because I was planning on jamming that anyway. And if they try to counter it, the Sentinel gets me a card, and that card's going to be Spell Pierce, which is really funny. All right, yeah, just straight in. And I already have Kaldra, so now I do want a castable one. I have the one that kills them if they don't answer Stoneforge, and now I have one that can play fair if they do. I'm also telegraphing Swords to Plowshares because I've tapped out of red instead of white when I had the choice. Lightning Bolt. Got it. If I draw a land, I'm casting True Name. If I don't, I'm casting Jite. Okay, I could brainstorm into a land to cast Jite, all playing around Daze. Oh, beautiful. Kaldra can go back in the deck, and so can Tundra. Here's Jite. I only have the one Volcanic Island now. My other red source is basic. I'm already exposed to Wasteland as well, so I'm just going to get Tundra here. Their first Wasteland's going at Volcanic Island anyway. There's not a whole lot to fight about. Now I got some choices. If I equip Jite and they bolt, my turn is over. If they have only reactive spells, I'm going to test with the True Name now. I've played around Daze. It's going to get Pyroblasted anytime, but that is at least one that if it resolves, I know they're not going to be able to bolt it in response to Jite in the future. Pyroblast is the worst thing here. Force of Will is fine. Yeah, that's cool. Force Pitching Force. I'll take a 2-for-1 when they are treading water and not deploying threats. Well, there's that. Iteration was on my ban list alongside Ragavan for games like this. But we'll see. I'm not tilting off or anything, just saying that these are the game states where this is why I argued against Iteration. This is just Dig Through Time, and it costs 2 mana. Hey, alright. My homie's in, and equipped immediately. Not that that matters right now. Like, Lightning Bolt still stops it from connecting, but at least I can attach it. Kind of hope they just Murktide here. I'm ready for that. There it is. And I am going to untap before I snap off this Plow. I'm not letting Daze find a target on turn 10. If I can avoid it. Okay, moment of truth. Alright. There is no truth. Okay, I know I just said I'm not letting Daze find a target, but this True Name will win the game if it resolves, and they're currently tapped out of Pyroblast. Alright, yeah, right in there. Cool. There's playing around Daze by just untapping and casting your spell, your 1-drop, and then there's playing into Daze, where like you win the game if it happens. And I am definitely okay with jamming a True Name on a board like that. Days may or may not even be in their deck in full quantities at this point. Petty Theft. Okay, that's actually really strong. Keeps them alive for a turn. All right. They take 3. Gonna redeploy my Jeskai. And then if Delver reveals a spell, I'll know what their hand is. And I'll know if I have to act or not. Delver doesn't reveal a spell. We're good. Jeskai can effectively race and neutralize the threats they have in play. I'm not going to plow this Dragon's Rage Channeler because cards that would not flip Delver include Murktide Regent. All right, let's try this again. Okay, got a connection that time. And now we kill Delver immediately before it gets too big for that. Gonna Prismatic Ending the Dragon's Rage Channeler. And the Jeskai can kill Brazen Borrower if it shows up. We have Plow for Murktide Regent. And the opponent agrees that this game's over. Play draw. We've seen Brazen Borrower now, which is another thing. Is it Staticaster can nip? And the real question is, what was I going to cut? Because it's not like I didn't think Is it Staticaster was good. It was that I didn't have room for it. And it's really End the Festivities versus Staticaster, or do I think I want both of those effects? Esper Sentinel is worse on the draw, but it's still something that they have shown a lot of respect for in the early turns, which helps me with the Stoneforge Mystics and True Names later on. Like if they're spending Dazes and Bolts on Esper Sentinel and spending extra mana, not wasting me to do it, that's good. That's good for the overall package. Okay, same deck. This hand's great. I'm going to keep it. There's no removal spell, but I do have Sentinel and Stoneforge. Both my basics are lined up. They mulled to 5. Okay. Good news. And that's not a Delver. The good news keeps coming. They chose to shuffle. It's Esper Sentinel time. If they're on 5, keeping one lander, shuffling their Ponders, this is not a card they're going to want to play through. Just eat the days so we can get Stoneforge Mystic down next turn. Okay, just land go. Could be holding up any number of removal spells. Maybe I'm just supposed to ponder looking for land 3. No, I think it's fine. I can ponder next turn. Here's Stoneforge Mystic. Though pondering for land 3 lets me Flusterstorm to protect my Stoneforge. Maybe I was supposed to do that. But if they are really spinning their wheels and not developing over there, Caldra's just going to kill them. All right, we're in there. And I do want Caldra. I'm not close to Jeskai being a fair card yet. And let's just get the best thing that makes them dead. Heated. And they found a Delver. Okay. Land? Red Blast. Okay. Ponder. Let's find... Okay, cool. I found both a land and a removal spell. What order do I want these in? I believe I want the land first. Though, I mean, if they daze this, it's really not a huge deal, honestly. Okay, I'm going to take the Prismatic Ending now. Just miss my land drop, but I know that my next one is coming. And I can Red Blast off that other land if Murktide Regent is what's still chilling here. Like Red Blast with Fluster back up. I'm set on Murktide Regent. Or they just don't have anything. That's cool too. And I'm not going to play any cards this turn, because I'm drawing a land next turn, and my deck actually, Wasteland is a mana source in, unlike most Elver Shells that don't have a whole lot of colorless mana requirements. Like Wasteland casts the True Name, it casts the Snapcaster, cast Stoneforge if I draw one, cast Batterskull. We're good there. And I'm not beating up on Ponders. I would like to save Red Blast for a Murktide Regent, and I might blast an Expressive Iteration in this position. Okay, so here's the Wasteland, and then I'm going to Snapcaster and Esper Sentinel. Or, hell, I wish I could Snapcaster Esper Sentinel. Snapcaster Prismatic Ending. All right, now I'm drawing wild. The known cards are gone. They didn't Pyroblast my Snapcaster, which gives me high hopes for my True Name. I am a blue source short of protecting True Name with Flusterstorm. Another land would be delightful. A blue land. Like there's only one non-blue land left in the deck, and it's the other Wasteland. Oh no, the mountain I boarded in as well. Okay. Ooh, the test. I could Fluster this. That actually looks pretty good. Plays into Wasteland, but this lets me stunt their digging spell while still having the answer to Murktide in Red Blast. Well, they didn't like that. Nice. 1-0, on to the next round. I'm on the draw against another Black Lotus Avatar, but I have 3 lands, a couple of Ponders. I'm keeping this. Both Murktides kind of sucks. This deck isn't good at casting them with high velocity, but hopefully these games go long, and I end up getting paid out for that. Our opponent is also a person of class and distinction with their Tundra into Ponder. They did not shuffle. Okay, I don't want Batterskull. I do want Jace. So next turn, I'm drawing Flooded Strand. I can shuffle away. I'll probably Ponder first. Oh, we're doing this, huh? Don't like that. The next card down, they pondered on turn 1, so they could see the next 2 cards. They drew Counterbalance. They could, if there was a 1-drop under their Ponder, they have some control here. All right, I'm going to Ponder and just hope this works. All right, they had a Ponder underneath. Fuck. All right, well, this is a great hand to have Jace, Kaldra, Murktide Regent. Just the average mana cost of spells in my hand is 7, 14, 21, 26. Divided by 4. The average mana cost in my hand is like 6 point something, which actually makes an interesting conversation about the Batterskull on top of my deck, which I think I don't want, but it is interesting that being a clunky, terrible 5-drop is actually a plus. I'll grab Tundra. Well, there's Ponder. They're not going to trick me into casting that. They just pondered. I think I'm going to at least wait for a turn where they might not have perfect control over the top of their deck. Ooh, Dress Down being a cantrip is cool, because they could have stacked like a 1 and a 3 on top of their deck, and Dress Down can give them the choice of, like, if they put the 1 on top, then Dress Down can draw it, and there's the 3 underneath. I just appreciate what's going on over there, even if it's really good against me currently. Okie dokie. Is it time to try a Ponder? Or do I just ram Jace? I don't think I ram Jace. Let's try a Ponder. They don't currently have control over the top of their deck. They could brainstorm to change that, but it's okay. Just going to slam Murktide either way here. Flusterstorm on top of the deck. Okay. Bluster this. I'm sure they have like an easy Swords to Plowshares or whatever, but oop, they didn't. Okay. And like a Teferi could bounce this, or maybe my 7-drop is just going to get to work. In for 6? Question mark? Ooh, that's just happening. And if that's happening, what else is going to happen? Teferi? The card on top of their deck right now is whatever they put second from the Brainstorm, so they do know what this is. But they probably would have stacked their 3-drop last turn because I was representing 3. I'm just going to bounce Counterbalance and draw a card. They can replay it, but I have Teferi in play now. Just changes so much. Counterbalance is a lot worse when you can't Brainstorm. Okay, they are Mystic Sanctuarying up a Brainstorm. E-Storm, there it is. Now they have to answer Murktide because it's killing them, and answering Teferi would be nice for them because it really does constrict many of the cards in their deck. Oh. Well, don't like that. Is this just my list from the SCG Duel for Duels in 2018? I played Big Teferi in Jeskai Miracles at that event. Well, I know my Jace is going to resolve here, so I'm going to just get paid on that one. They can't force this. I'm going to Brainstorm. Put back one of these Murktides, and all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I still have my land drop. I could cast Cauldron next turn and clap Teferi. That's actually really exciting. I'm going to put back both the Murktides. Oh, I should have kept one for Force of Will. Whoops. All right, well, going to have to deal with that. Yeah, I should have stacked Murktide fetch land on top, played Tundra, and then been able to pitch Murktide to Force of Will, and then still have True Name. Because I'd rather have True Name against this deck than Murktide, I think. I mean, certainly when I have no graveyard and no prospects of having one anytime soon. Okay, I don't care about that because they're not going to have a 7 on top for Kaldra. Oh no, I do care about that. Oh no, it's going to die in their end step. Okay, no, I was like, shit. My Cauldron wouldn't... Oh, wait, no, because the weapon gives those abilities, so I think it would still have them. I'm pretty sure I would win the timestamp conversation there. Fetching another Tundra, getting rid of those Murktides. Plus Little Teferi. Brainstorm with Jace. This is good stuff. Alright. I'm going to put Swords to Plowshares and Batterskull on top of my deck. I shouldn't really need a Plow. And I can shuffle away Batterskull with Jace next turn. But right now, as Richard Garfield intended. Yeah! Got the concession on that one. This is a Twitter screenshot. Look at this board state. I'm so happy right now. Look at Legacy. Oh, that's great. Okay, now we all bring in Pyroblast and think get weird. And Court of Cunning is going to come in. I don't like Surgical. Don't need Meltdown. Umezawa's Jitte is kind of interesting in matchups like this because turning something like Esper Sentinel into a 5/5 every turn really changes the amount of respect they have to give to the 1/1. But at the same time, they have a lot of removal. And I believe my Swords to Plowshares can come out here. We didn't see green mana. We don't have to think about Uro. Like Shark Typhoon is probably the creature they would win with if they're even playing creatures. Pyroblast can answer Snapcaster Mage, or also a Shark Typhoon token. Prismatic Ending can hit the smaller planeswalkers, so I do want that. Plows out, 3 Rebs, and Court in. Can I get these Flusterstorms in, and do I want these Flusterstorms in, are the other questions. Mountain should be in, and then it'll be, do I cut a Wasteland for it, or would I rather just play 21 lands to make sure I hit my land drops in this mirror match? I think I can cut Wasteland. They might have Back to Basics in their list. It's possible that they're big enough to do that. I'm too small to do that, but I have the Rebs to answer it. I feel like Flusterstorm would go a long way to winning fights over Planeswalkers, but at the same time, I don't actually want to cut any of the cards in my deck. This is a test for Esper Sentinel. I would rather have big Planeswalkers on my deck than Sentinel here as well. But having something to do on one that's proactive, that my opponent's deck definitely doesn't. I like that. And there it is, turn 1 Esper Sentinel. I'm keeping the sand. If my opponent wants to jam a turn 2 counterbalance and let me draw a card while I'm still on board, big fan of that. Sentinel's on the stack. And this deck isn't going to have days. If they plow it, it's going to cost 2 mana in their turn, which is a turn they're not developing. Counterbalance. They don't do anything to it, it's just in play. Okay, I don't have anything else to do here, but I'm attacking for 1, which could add up if this game goes long enough. Doing something in the end step here. Brainstorm and paying the tax. Yeah, look at that. Brainstorm without a fetch land is the price of me not drawing a card. That's a pretty big effect on a game that's going to go this long. That one card that they couldn't shuffle away could matter a lot. I'm not going to spend a Force of Will on this. If I had Spell Pierce or Fluster, I would have done it, but that's not where I'm pointing my removal, or my counterspells. Speaking of pointing counterspells, this hand has not materialized since the presence of Esper Sentinel. So my opponent did just miss a land drop, and they're Brainstorm locked because they didn't let me draw a card. That's a good one. Brainstorming in response to my Brainstorm. Okay. Why didn't they Brainstorm on their turn? Oh, are they playing around Hull Breacher? I don't know. I would, if I was about to miss a land drop for the second time in a row in a control deck, I would have cast my Brainstorm. Just saying. Okay, Batterskull and Prismatic Ending can go into the deck, and then I'm going to play Stoneforge Mystic. And I am going to fetch basic planes in... Oh, I'm not. Never mind. I take it back. Look at their mana base. Go ahead. Back to basics, me. I dare you. And this Stoneforge Mystic can't lose. If they force it, I get a 2-for-1. If they plow it, I get a 2-for-1. If they do neither of those things, Caldra's coming in. And even if they do just plow it right now, I have a second Stoneforge that can go find Batterskull and put them to that same test again for a second turn cycle. Okay, just randomly cracked a fetch land. Oh, they're dressing down. That makes sense. Sure. They're leaving up a red, which is telling me a lot. Ah, shit. I should have cast a fairy first. Now I'm in combat. Oh, I guess that doesn't matter. I'm still spending the mana. Right. Here comes Stoneforge Mystic. I guess I should have just activated that. Yeah, that was bad. Whoops. I should have just waited for Dress Down to die instead of playing into this Red Blast. So, forcing it to Fairy in, pitching this Murktide Regent, that's not really doing anything. I don't mind this interaction. Okay, they don't want to play against a Fairy, but I do think that I probably should have just passed the turn and put in Kaldra as soon as Stoneforge Mystic had abilities again, or in their end step, or, you know, some time that makes sense to do that. 2-0, keep it rolling. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. On the draw for round 3, I have a very permanent heavy hand, which I hope we're in a fair matchup. Uh-oh, opponent's mulling to 5. This is Reanimator. We're dead. Let's see if that's true. I do have turn 1 Esper Sentinel. Just in case. Yep, confirmed. Oh, JK, unconfirmed. The hell is this? Is this bombardment? Some sort of weird Hogak pile? Curious. The 4 lands across my hand, including the 2 fetch lands, can't get basic planes, so if they have Wasteland, have fun, but I don't think they're gonna. Gator Wayfinder, okay. It's definitely some Jund Hogak situation. They put Polluted Delta in their hand and milled a Vengevine. I don't think I can trade with this thing. Or at least I don't think I want to. I certainly can. And now we get the Batterskull or Kaldra question. Batterskull's lifelink is nice, but Kaldra's first strike exile the creature is also nice. I'm going to go with Kaldra. There's a Wayfinder. We know they have a land in their hand. Nice. Looks like they can't trigger their Vengevine here. Still not blocking. Not interested. Okay, Brainstorm makes this really nice. I was about to be like, should I spend all my mana to get True Name down? Because that's very comparable to Kaldra on this board. But Brainstorm lets me do 2 things. And I like doing 2 things. Another Wayfinder, my god. The way has been found. Faithless Looting, Stitcher Supplier, Undead Butler. Never seen this card in my life. ETB mill 3. Dies, you may exile it. When you do, return target creature card from graveyard to your hand. That's cool. They're probably done attacking now. Yeah. Okay. Brainstorm. Birds to Plowshares is a good card. I don't really think Teferi is necessary for this matchup, but I do want the 4th land. Hope I didn't just play into a removal spell here. If they can kill Stoneforge in response to my fetch. Alright. Didn't have to worry about it. Here's Kaldra, regrettably on defense mode. That's okay. And I think it's time for True Name Nemesis with Plow backing it up. Good attack with Stoneforge Mystic. It would trade with a Satyr Wayfinder. Do I like that? Do I care about that? I think I'm just going to pass. Time to be a control deck. I have 2 creatures that disrespect Vengevine. What I'm worried about now is getting Altar of Dementia out of the game. The looting. Would you like to pay the toll? Okay, they paid the toll. A bridge from below. That's scary. Touched a basic swamp and cast Stitcher. Bitch. Found a Gravecrawler. They do have 2 zombies right now. I would like to spend my mana. Am I more worried about Stitcher or Gravecrawler? Or I can Jace next turn. Yeah, I can Jace next turn and still hold up Plow. I am extremely interested in a Force of Will. Altar of Dementia is how I can lose this game right now. I'd like that to not happen. Put 2 lands back. I can still Plow here. If I give them infinite time, they can win. But yeah, I don't think I can attack yet either. Amy. They found a Hogak and a Gravecrawler, so they can trigger their Vengevine this turn. Not sure if that's actually good. Butler is the mill 3 when it dies. Get a creature back thing. Second Vengevine was recovered. Here come the Vengevines. I have those answered. I can Plow Hogak also if they put it into play. They're currently Hellbent. There's the Gak. Their Vengevines can attack, and one of them can turn into a zombie. And Kaldra's Exile Clause is really clutch here. Gonna plow Hogak. Get rid of him while we still can. Snapcaster's a nice one. Brainstorm with Jace. Lands and Sentinels. I don't need 2 lands. Do I need Sentinel at all? How am I going to spend my mana this turn? So Snap Plow, Prismatic Ending, Esper Sentinel. I could Snap Plow, Snap Ending. I don't think Esper Sentinel is important to this game plan. Ending should target what? Probably Stitcher Supplier. And getting rid of Gravecrawler forever is nice. Yeah, I think I'm more interested in that. Can I attack yet? Still think no. Just gonna maneuver to a place where this Murktide Regent can ranch. Or if I can get Batterskull onto True Name, then it becomes really hard to lose. Looting. I'm actually gonna fetch in response to this trigger, because if they decide not to pay, I don't want to draw the top card of my deck. I'm gonna get Basic Plains, because there are lands in my deck that don't fetch that, but every land fetches Tundra. I want to make sure my fetch lands can still fetch. I have a Bridge and an Anger. A Gravecrawler from hand. Alright. Time to just juke zombies at me. The whole squad's coming at Jace. I'm gonna Snapcaster. Target Swords to Plowshares. I can kill their bridges this turn without triggering them. I could save Jace. I could just let Jace die. And so plow a Gravecrawler. Block a Vengevine with Kaldra. Block a Vengevine with Snapcaster Mage, which will clear out the bridges. All of these are attacking Jace. We can just let Jace die. Even if I block everything. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Jace will take lethal regardless. So I'll just do the thing that kills their bridges without actually giving them anything. Oh, okay, Kaldra. Oh, Kaldra only exiles the card if... I should probably read this fucking card. Exile that card. Oh, if the damage kills it, then it doesn't get exiled. Never mind. I thought I was being clever. I did nuke their bridges, but I could have probably absorbed some more creatures along the way. Plow, Snap, Plow is still good. 1, 2, Plow, Snap, Plow. So I can Murktide and still Plow, Snap, Plow. Big creature. 4 mana to keep fighting. Someday I'll attack them. The Anger's kind of scary. Oh, there's Altar. That's the card I've been worried about this entire time. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 power in play. That's not very good. I'm going to plow Gravecrawler in response. Just get the machine gun off the table, at least. Do they have enough cards in their deck to find a Hogak and mill me out that way? There you go. Vengevine sacked. They found Hogak. There's Hogak. There's not a space to Swords to Plowshares anymore. I have used that. There's a Bloodghast. There's 2 Bloodghast. Let's hope their card in hand isn't a land. I don't have Endurance or anything in my deck that could help with decking. Vengevines come back. Yeah, I guess I was supposed to Snap Plow a Vengevine just because the hand does... Like, Plow just doesn't do anything anymore. Found a bridge. Now I'm in trouble. Yeah, this is why I was digging for Force of Will earlier. They're out of cards in their deck. Now they're starting to mill me. Snapcaster likes getting milled. But is there anything helpful that could come out of this mill situation? They can Hogak 2 more times. Yeah, I'm dead. I'm just going to look at my deck list real quick and then concede, because there's nothing that's going to help me here. Just Altar of Dementia breaks open these... It turns this aggro deck into a combo deck, which I just needed them not to draw Altar until I had Force of Will back up, and as many cards as we saw that game, there was no counterspell involved. Bummer. And I'm sure the smart people in the chat are telling me right now, you fool, you could have been attacking and then this wouldn't have been a problem. But that's not true, because I would have died to their aggro. Like, I had to stabilize the aggro and then answer the combo, and I just wasn't able to answer the combo on the back end. I think Staticaster is good, Mountain's good. Not sure if I want to be ending any festivities. Canonist does stop them from comboing. That's a good deal. Also stops Vengevine from arriving. Surgical, obviously, comes in. Court of Cunning seems dangerous. They have a lot of shitters to steal the Monarch, and this is not a deck that I want to just mill. ESPER Sentinel was like actively bad that game. Runame was good. Narset would have helped that game because they did a lot of faithless looting. I don't think Teferi is very important. The one thing Teferi can do is plus and let me Prismatic Ending an alter at instant speed. Just don't think that's the game I want to play too. Don't really need Wasteland in, and I'm bringing in Mountain to maintain my land count. Jute is good because it can let you kill your own creatures. Like -1 on a Snapcaster Mage, blows up bridges. Spell Pierce doesn't seem great. If the game goes long like that, Spell Pierce is not going to help me do what I need to do. Okay, I think this is the deck I want to submit. I mean, we were pretty good at not dying until they combo killed me, but we did blunt the aggro really effectively. This hand has no hate. It has Brainstorm, Stoneforge, Mystic, but doesn't interact with the opponent at all, not even as Swords to Plowshares. I don't like this one. Fuck, this hand is so much worse. We're going to 5. Okay, rewarded. I'm going to keep this and put back... I have to keep the land, Stoneforge, and Surgical. Narset is the card I can't currently play. I could just wait until I find her later. Or... no, I think Narset and Brainstorm are the cards that go. In Ponder on 1, Stoneforge on 2, Surgical to stay alive in between. I think this is the cleanest opening salvo I can have with these 5 cards. I don't actually want any of this shit. Ended up with a land. We'll need a 3rd land eventually. That's not the worst. Gravecrawler's in play. I'm going to Stoneforge off of my basic. I had the option of fetching to thin a land out of the deck, but I don't think that's worth doing. Batterskull can also kill bridges if you make the living weapon and then you pay 3 to return Batterskull, the 0/0 germ dies. And having Vigilance is a big deal. Okay, I actually do want that, because if I had been attacking last game with anything, it would have been a different situation. Ooh, Assassin's Trophy. I'll take a little ramp in my blue deck. Yes, please. Grab that island. Okay, that helps us get closer to casting this Batterskull. Oh, Statty Daddy. I could just kill Gravecrawler now, but if they play a second zombie, like if they play Stitcher Supplier, mill Vengevine, and then cast Gravecrawler because I put it in their graveyard, it's really stupid. Undead Butler. There's Anger and Bridge. Them milling that bridge is not exciting to me. I can exile their bridges forever, though. Oh, this is great. Okay, I'm going to Surgical Extraction the bridges. Oh, they even had one in the hand. What a delight. Okay, let's look at this deck. 3 altars, 2 Assassin's Trophies, 1 Grist, 1 Grief. That's fun. Yeah, not a whole lot going on here special, just the 2 trophies. Okay. Bridge, Bridge, and Bridge exiled. 2 Faithless Looting in their hand. Okay. And then I'm going to let them attack. This Butler doesn't have Death Touch, does it? No, okay. They can attack with their creatures. I'm going to block Butler with my 0/3 and then kill the 2 Gravecrawlers. And then I'm going to untap and play Batterskull. Block, there's the ping. Sweep them up. Force of Negation will be nice next turn when I untap with 5 mana and Batterskull in play. And it's cool that Staticaster can just block this 1/2 without actually killing it. Their hand is 2 lootings right now. Oh, and now whatever Wayfinder finds. Oh, it found Vengevine and Hogak. Cool. So they're going to cast Hogak and trigger Vengevine now. That was about as good as that could go. Yeah, the creatures all have haste too because of Anger. A beating. I guess I should have pinged a Wayfinder in response to Gravecrawler. That would have made them tap one of their bigger creatures at least. Okay, this is fine. I can block Vengevine, absorb this 8 damage, and then I can move Batterskull over to Staticaster, and then I can attack and ping every turn. One of the lootings. I really like to draw a blue card. Found another Vengevine. End step, kill a Wayfinder. Not a blue card, notably. If they block here, then I can take them off zombies for Gravecrawler recursion, but they can regrow the Wayfinder. Okay. I'm not going to play my land. My deck does have Brainstorm in it. Oh, there's this fucking card. Okay. I'm not sure If this is a kill without bridges in the deck, I forget how this works, but I might just be dead. I don't know. They tap their green mana to cast the altar, which means they can't rebuy Wayfinder this turn. They can machine gun Miltoo's and Vengevines. And this counters the lifelink because they can sack whatever creature. God, altar's so fucked up. Not having a blue card in my hand, or not having access to force these last two games is what cost me both of those games. 8, 12, 13, 14. I'm just dead. Literally dead. Block Vengevine, shoot Gravecrawler. They can sack the Vengevine I'm blocking and sack the Gravecrawler that I shoot, and then I take 14. Guess I had to block Hogak in that case. Yeah, I guess I could block Hogak and technically get another turn, but I was losing that game anyway. Yeah, Altar of Dementia is the card that blue decks have to worry about. Really good at stopping, attacking, not so good at stopping an artifact that wins the game on its own. Tough. Okay, next round. On the draw in round 4, opponent has a Yorion. I'm going to keep my hand. I can play on basics if they're Death and Taxes, even if they're the Bant version. That deck is also a 4 Wasteland deck. This Mother's going to be a problem unless I draw a removal spell right now. Hey, had it. Don't ask any questions. Had it the whole time. Get Plains, hit Mother. She's out. Okay, now I can Stoneforge into Snap Plow, and we have something resembling a game plan where Mother of Runes would have collapsed that entire plan. And this delightful thing is happening right now where Wasteland is good against non-basic lands, obviously, and Rishadan Port is good against basic lands. So I chose to fetch a basic, which meant I couldn't brainstorm in response to getting ported. But this is what Wasteland is for in this matchup. Taking out Rishadan Ports and Karakas are the two things that you want to target. And Death and Taxes is also a mana-hungry control deck. And them having the Saga sucks here, and I just spent one of my Wastelands, but they would have been able to port me and still have Saga in play, so that's not even really an answer. I'll get my Mystic out here. And they're a Swords to Plowshares deck. I think I just want Batterskull. It's more castable and reusable if they have the Plow. How about a land deck? Not a land. All right, I'm going to brainstorm looking for a land. I think that's better than just activating Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, Force of Negation. I think that one can go. And the backup Stoneforge on top of the deck looks pretty decent. And we will go into their turn. I'm going to respawn to the Sagas Chapter 3 by putting in Batterskull. I don't want them to just get Pithing Needle and turn it off. But they're also a Stoneforge Mystic deck, so naming Stoneforge with Pithing Needle's kind of a risk to them. But whatever, let's figure out what they're doing this turn. Here's my Batterskull. Currently bigger than the Constructs. It will be smaller once they Shadow Spear. Want to attack? I'll block. Okay. Didn't attack. And they haven't had Swords to Plowshares yet this game. Doesn't mean they don't have it now, but it does mean they haven't had it before, which is information we can use. Attacking with my Germ while I still can. Brainstorm, hope to find a white source. I know Force Negation's on top of my deck, then we get 2 fresh ones. Stoneforge Mystic can shuffle. Okay, cool. Found everything I was looking for there. I can get rid of Force Negation because now I have Force of Will. And Teferi is good, but I think Plow is better. And I do want to Stoneforge here. I guess I have Snapcaster to be more Plows, and Teferi does a pretty unique thing. Like, lets me cast my endings and stuff. Okay. I'm going to put back a Plow, which is not something I would normally recommend against Death and Taxes. It's an advanced move. Here's my shuffle. Go get Kaldra. Teferi's also blue to pitch for Force, which is really valuable here, because Snapcaster is a Plow or a Brainstorm, and Teferi is only a Teferi, and Plow is only a Plow. So Force of Will, pitching Teferi, keeping Snap around gives me a lot of options. Recruiter of the Guard. What's this going to do? Let's find out. Solitude. Yeah, that's a good one. But I have Force of Will for it. Don't need to shuffle my deck because my deck is already shuffled. Prismatic Ending. That's what we were talking about before with the Teferi. Force of Will is such a nice card in this situation. I can Teferi, bounce Construct Token, get in with Germ. I could also just attack with Germ and blow out with Plow if they block. I could also just ram Cauldron onto the stack and bet. I'm going to fetch Tundra first, actually, in case they get any big ideas with their Solitude. Yeah, I think just shoving Cauldron into play here is where I want to be. The Shadow Spear can remove Indestructible. That is a thing that that card does. I'm going to attack with my Germs. If they double block Batterskull, I'll plow one of the constructs. Do I need to do that? Hold on. I can put 3 damage, 1 damage, and then Prismatic Ending Shadow Spear, and then the construct will die, and Batterskull can just chill and I can keep my plow. I think that's better. Okay, yeah, damage resolves. 3 damage on the 3/3, which dies, but 1 damage on the 2/2, which will soon be a 1/1. And also clears out the Shadow Spear, which makes Cauldron destructible. And I get to hold on to Plow, which is one of the best cards in this matchup. I think we're going to get a hard cast Solitude. Okay. Flicker Wisp targets Recruiter here. Bummer. Tapped out of white. This would be a great time to have Swords to Plowshares. Alright, I'm going to let them flicker their Recruiter. Oh, Flickering Germ also works. Yeah, duh. Okay. Cauldron is sleepy. Spirit of the Lab. That I can remove. Alright, Fistful of Plows. I've had no shortage of plows this entire game. For this entire match. I could bounce Spirit of the Lab with Teferi, get deeper into my deck, hold up Plow. I think I like that. This also makes the Solitude less powerful if they have to cast it at sorcery speed. Bounce Spirit, draw a card. Found the land drop, another white source. We like those. And at this point, I'm just 2 lands away from moving Cauldron over. And I'm at the point where I can bounce Batterskull. I plow Flicker Wisp. They can't attack with the 1/1 because I have 1/2s. Still holding up Force if I deem it necessary. I don't care about Skyclave Apparition. Teferi was not that important to the plan. It's not worth a Force of Will, is what I'm saying. Like, we know Yorion's coming. There's scarier shit still on this deck. Is this Brainstorm good? Brainstorm's usually good, but my hand is already the cards that I want it to be. I'm actually just going to pass the turn here. I can hardcast Force of Will if they go for Yorion, and I can just loop Batterskull if they don't do anything. Spirit of the Lab, I have answers to that. Played out the second Caracas. They are representing Solitude here. Okay, I'm going to fetch in the end step, get a Tundra, and then this is a trick if you only have 1 Stoneforge Mystic. I have 2, so I don't really need to do it this way. But if you activate Stoneforge Mystic and then return Batterskull in response, if they kill your Stoneforge Mystic, you still get the activation. Otherwise, if you bounce Batterskull first, they can Swords to Plowshares, and then you can't put your Batterskull back in. Okay, here's the Solitude, which is fine, because this creature was free. I'm going to save my Force of Will for the Yorion. ESPER Sentinel doesn't matter. They still don't really have attacks. I can just loop Batterskull again. If they first main Yorion, then they do have some attacks, but I'm at 28, I don't care. Not 2 for 1ing myself is always better than 2 for 1ing myself, so your life total's a resource, and their attacks aren't even good. Like, I have these 1/2s that can block most of their things pretty effectively. Okay, that's interesting. Daddy Mercs. The Merc Father. Little awkward with Snapcaster Mage in my hand, but I'm still making the largest possible Murktide. Stoneforge Mystic, yeah, that happens. Got the Beast Skull. They want to cast it? Do they want to waste me? Wasting me has happened. I'm going to float white. And I'm going to Snap Plow here. That also grows Murktide Regent. Snapcaster. Target Plow. I'm going to hit the Spirit of the Labyrinth. That's the one that is locking down my Brainstorm right now. And they have Jute in hand. Don't have a flyer, though. Yeah, they can spew off the Solitude. All right, yeah, block. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they can kill my Snapcaster or kill one of my other things or just float this GT around. Ponder and Brainstorm are active at this point. Esper Sentinel is not a card that I want in the game right now, so I'm going to Brainstorm. If my hand was all good cards, I would have pondered. Perfect. 2 Esper Sentinels to get rid of. And then I can ponder to shuffle away those Esper Sentinels. And then I have Force Blue card and Swords of Plowshares available for this next turn cycle. Oh, JK. I'm keeping them. Okay. I'll draw True Name next turn. And I can attack with these creatures because Snapcaster is going to die to GT anyway. Might as well try to get a trade for some material on board out of it. Okay. I can play Esper Sentinel, which will just get eaten by GT, but really that's fine. Oh, I should have tapped Tundra. Now if they have a Wasteland, they can dance around and connect with GT. Yeah, that was actually really bad. Should have tapped Tundra. Please don't have Wasteland. Soul Guide Lantern. You want to pay 1 for that? Okay, good idea. Exiling my Brainstorm, which grows my Murktide. Drawing a card. Oh, they found Wasteland. For the maximum fucking punish. Brutal. Alright, I'm going to float white. I can just go into combat here, and then they don't get to GT. That does work. Turn Name Nemesis is on top of my deck. Do I care about GT? Okay, if I plow Skyclave Apparition, they can attack with a 4/6, and I have 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I actually think this is worth doing. Because I can put all my blockers in front of Stoneforge, clear it, and then their Batterskull is stranded in hand. Yeah, they're kind of priced into leaving up Stoneforge here. Yeah, that was fine. And then I slam True Name right now. Get in with my 10/10. Unfortunately, that is the only creature that can attack because Batterskull is over there somewhere. And then the Bane of Death and Taxes players everywhere. True Name Nemesis. Here's Batterskull. They're Hellbent. I have Force of Will in my hand. True Name can blank the Batterskull. They can get rowdy with GT. I will put my whole squad in front of it. Seen enough. For this matchup, Meltdown, Umezawa's GT, Basic Mountain, Is It Staticaster, Court of Cunning. I think that's it. Oh, and the Festivities, duh. That's a good one. And cards that come out, Force of Negation is an easy one. Spell Pierce doesn't have a lot of targets, but the targets that it does hit are big, but I want my cards to do more than that. Esper Sentinel is pretty, like, medium bad. It is a 1-drop that can carry GT, which I like. I like having some number of forces still in the deck in these matchups. And I like having just more lands. I'm not going to cut a Wasteland for Mountain here. I'm just going to have 21 lands in the deck. And I think I want to play bigger. Just, they don't have a lot of non-creature spells, and they do have a lot of mana. So I think the Sentinels are the cut. Yeah, story checks out. This hand is kind of nutty bonkers. I'm going to keep it. I have the 1 Esper Sentinel I left in the deck, just in case. I can fetch all 3 basic lands, now that I've drawn another fetch land. And I can just curve basics, like Esper Sentinel into GT, into Is It Staticaster. And I can't even plow this thing, still draw a card. Stoneforge Mystic. I'm going to let that happen. I think I can do better with Staticaster. There's a lot of spot removal in this deck. Interesting. I could just clap back with my very own Kaldra, or I could get Batterskull and neutralize their Kaldra. Like, Batterskull wins a race against Kaldra. Or they just look at each other, which is also fine with me. I'm gonna get Batterskull. Yeah, got that Wasteland. Got the triple basic setup. Solitude. That one is kind of frustrating, but they're also making a huge bet that this Kaldra is going to go coast to coast. All right, and I'm going to bet on my blue deck full of cantrips finding an answer. I have a few draw steps to figure this out. Also, if I equip Jite to my Esper Sentinel, that's worth a bunch of life. Okay, Ponder. Let's figure this out. Kaldra, some lands. Nope. Shuffle that up. Jace. That answers Kaldra next turn. Not through Rashad and Port, it doesn't, I guess. But that's fine. I'm going to attack because I'm not going to block. Stoneforge can add its power to the attack if it wants to. And on this board state, Staticaster doesn't do anything. Like, I need to survive this wave before the Staticaster shows up. Here's Jute. Apparition. That's probably going to target Jute. And they tapped out of Rishadan Port to do this, so I'm going to force pitching Staticaster, and then Jace will bounce the Phyrexian Germ, and then we're in business. Ooh, alright, now I got options. I can exile Stoneforge Mystic, equip, get Jite active, but the Wasteland Port, this is the last chance I'm going to have to cast Jace this game, so I'm going to take it. Bounce the Germ, and then next turn I can start doing Jite stuff. Like, now they're in a spot where they can't really use their lands to beat up my lands because I'm ahead on board. Even if they have Flicker Wisp right now to reset their Cauldron, I also have the ending. Router of the Guard. That probably has to get Skyclave Apparition to fight the Jace, but I'm going to get a turn of activations out of it. Yep. Do they want to waste me or port me or attack Jace? What's the play? They are attacking Jace. I'm not blocking. They've lined up murdering Jace anyway. I do think Port is better than Wasteland here for them. Brainstorm with Jace. Force of Will but no blue card is disappointing. With the Port and the Wasteland, I can send Batterskull back. And what does Prismatic Ending do from here? I can make this land drop. I could also just send the Force into the Shadow Realm. I'm also going to have a hard time casting that this game. Okay. I'm going to play Arid Mesa, whip Esper Sentinel, Swords to Plowshares, Recruiter of the Guard. Get in and get busy here. Then we'll see what this Skyclave Apparition wants to do. Whether Jace or Jite is the biggest problem. Because if they take Jace, I immediately convert Jite into a 4/4 creature. If they take Jite, then I still have Jace. I think they kind of have to take Jite on this board, which is kind of horrific. I guess if they target Jite, I kill Stoneforge Mystic to make sure I have another turn with Jace. Yeah, this is really bad for them. I have basically the two best permanents in my deck in play right now. They found the right line. I'm going to give Stoneforge Mystic definitely -1. Do I want to kill it, or do I want to tuck a 2/2 under this Apparition? I could also just gain 2 life. Let them have this Stoneforge Mystic in play. Get a 2/2 out of Apparition next turn. This is fun. This is actually really interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 2 lands away from Cauldron. Oh, I guess it's the same thing. For some reason, I thought that, like, in my brain, I had killed Skyclave Apparition with Jite instead of Stoneforge. So, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. All right, Yorion's in their hand. My big brain is showing. Don't look at it, lest you go blind. Okay, I got some choices here. My top card is Force of Will, and they did just put Yorion in their hand, but they have Wasteland. I can draw the Force of Will, shuffle, and then Brainstorm. I think that's the play. Port can take me off red if I don't get red, but white is more important. I'm just going to get white. And I'll Brainstorm with Jace. Ooh, blue card. I do still have my land drop this turn. I could just tuck the endings, or I could tuck Ending Plow, and then with 6 mana, Ending and Plow go on top. Have this land drop. I can Prismatic Ending this creature. 1, 2, 3. And then I can become the Monarch. And they get to flicker their Cauldron with Yorion, but that's pretty low impact right now, actually. If I'm going to have Jace active and be the Monarch, and I have Swords to Plowshares in my hand, they do have Yorion Caracas, which is kind of a problem, but I'll negotiate that when it matters. Took me off one of my Tundras. Got it. And I know Prismatic Ending's the top card of my deck. I can zap the Cauldron immediately with that. Flying Blocker would be nice, or some answer to Yorion that pressures Caracas. I guess any blue card. If Jace activation plus Court of Cunning comes up with a blue card, then I have Yorion answered. And I am just going to blast them for 10. Let's get the milling started. They don't have ways to use their graveyard, but they do have a deck full of spicy one-ofs. Like their Batterskull just went away. There's Prismatic Ending, Brainstorm with Jace. That is a blue card. Yeah, I think just putting back... I can put the Stoneforge... Okay, I can't quite do everything I want to do here. I'm 1 mana short of plowing Yorion and then hard casting Force. But I have to put back Stoneforge Mystic and Runame Nemesis here. And then I get to Prismatic Ending the Kaldra. And I am just going to plow the Yorion now. My plan is to force it either way, and I might as well attack for 3. The Yorion went back up. Here's my land. I attack for 3. The Monarch trigger draws True Name Nemesis, and then I have Force Blue card for Yorion. Okay, played a second Caracas. 1 card left in hand. Here's the Force Blue card. Get that out of here. I am a Kaldra attack away from dead if they find Flicker Wisp, but I'm drawing Stoneforge Mystic right now. Also just blasting their deck points again. 2 activations got them down to a 60-card deck. No longer a Yorion deck. They're porting my Volcanic Island, that's fine. I should brainstorm first, because then... Oh, Narset is strong. Okay, put back End the Festivities and plow. Cast Narset, who can pick up the plow, and then I can... I hope I have a land left in my deck. Okay, there are 2. I thought so. Stoneforge. Do I want Kaldra or Batterskull? I think I want Kaldra. And then I can attack for 3. They don't have a way to flicker Kaldra just like immediately. They're all end step flicker effects. And I can answer it next turn. There's no creature to just equip it to if they draw a land. And the match is over. That was kind of a clinic. Just focus on what matters, and it doesn't matter if Jace is at 11 loyalty or 1. You still get to brainstorm. Just let them hit Jace down to 1. Pick your spots, and eventually dig out of it. That was nice. On to the final round. I'm on the draw in the final round. Got that Esper Sentinel start. I'm keeping it. A Misty Rainforest strategy. A regular forest strategy. Oh, they thought about casting a spell, then changed their mind. I am going to fetch a Tundra here. I don't think this basic forest deck is going to have Wasteland. I mean, this could be lands, but they would have played Mox Diamond or Exploration or something on turn 1. It's very strange that they didn't. If it's Elves, it's weird that they didn't make a play. Okay, Green-White Depths, that's fine. All right, they are a Wasteland deck for sure. I take it all back. They had to play weird around my Esper Sentinel. It's the most we can hope for. I mean, those are the situations where Daze gets to punish somebody on 2 mana, which is the reason to play Daze in your Esper Sentinel deck. Just the rest of the infrastructure. If you want to play Esper Sentinel and Daze in the same deck, I think that's really cool, but that's not something that's going to happen with Stoneforge Mystic also in the list. Okay, that card is gone. Oh, I want to put Nemesis into play, but I really have to answer this library. I can put Nemesis into play next turn. The opponent has not come blazing out of the gates here. I suspect a crop rotation. On turn 1, they tapped a green mana, then untapped it and passed the turn. Which, like, are they playing around Elvish Reclaimer? What's going on here? Okay, it was Zenith for 0 that they were considering doing. Sylvan Safekeeper. Okay. I'm going to Prismatic Ending that and then cast True Name Nemesis this turn. They can sack a land to protect this in the Flagstones of Trocaire, but that'll make future crop rotations worse. Okay, that has Shroud now. You got it. And I'm going to get another Tundra and play my Nemesis. Maybe I'm supposed to play Murktide there in case they make Merit Lage right now. I do the Reliquary. Okay. I'm not well set up to fight that one. I didn't fetch my Volk because I used my 2 endings already. Alright. I can cast Batterskull now and then start attacking with Batterskull next turn. Or I could just go Esper Sentinel Murktide right now, but that doesn't race Merit Lage. Yeah, I'm just going to cast Batterskull. So if I equip Batterskull next turn, I attack for 7 lifelink, go to 25. Opponent makes Merit Lage, attacks me to 5. I attack them to 2, and me up to 12. And then Murktide Regent can chump block for a turn. Is that what I'm playing to? I would need additional help because the deck's going to have Sajiri Step in it. Your creature gains Shroud. So if they go for Sujiri Step and I have Plow, then giving a Trout against Plow would also give a Trout against Sujiri Step. They're main phasing this because they have Safekeeper, and I am a Wasteland deck, so that was smart. Oh, I can't move Batterskull and cast Murktide Regent. What am I even talking about? Oh, wait, no. I did plan for that. That's a multi-turn line. Got it. Another Zenith for 1. A Reclaimer. Okay. Brainstorm. I could Brainstorm. If I miss on land, I'm just dead. But this is the opportunity to Brainstorm and try to fix this hand up to map out this multi-turn game. Okay, I'm going to take the bet. Found the land. Esper Sentinel's bad. Stoneforge Mystic's bad. I'm going to make my fetch here. I will get Volcanic Island. And then equip Batterskull to True Name. They can't attack with their ground creatures. Oh, wait. They can... Oh, no, okay. Fuck. Okay. They can Elvish Reclaimer to give Knight protection with Sujiri Step and then attack for 27. So, no, they actually do have this, and there was nothing I could do about it. I needed them to not have the Elvish Reclaimer as well as the Knight. They did find the piece. Oh. Was that a misclick? Oh no, that was the Flagstones. I was like, wait, that doesn't kill me. Yeah, that's because Flagstones doesn't get Sujiri Step, but the Reclaimer does. Okay, I'm dead. Yeah, they had that one. This game brought to you by Sylvan's Safekeeper. Sweet card. What comes in against this deck? I believe this is a Staticaster situation. There are a lot of X1s in their deck. It's a Jute situation, Grafdigger's Cage, Basic Mountain. Ending the Festivities seems reasonable to do. Court of Cunning, I like. If I can... Like, there are cards that are worth Surgical Extracting in their deck, but I have to endure the first wave of them to then Surgical them. So that one is in the maybe pile. Is Spell Pierce good? Is Force... So Force Negation's already out. Spell Pierce can hit Zeniths and Chokes and Libraries on a 1-for-1 basis. All of those are things that I do like. I think Esper Sentinel is actually just actively terrible in this matchup. It doesn't provide a clock, doesn't disrupt them meaningfully. They have lots of mana they can pay. And I think this, like, Esper Sentinel has made opponents play kind of weird in the early turns of the game, but I haven't drawn a single card off at this league, as far as I remember. And that's probably because I'm not a Daze or Stifle deck. I think that if you want to play Stoneforge Mystic, you should be playing a bunch of Planeswalkers, and if you want to play Esper Sentinel, you should not be playing Stoneforge Mystic. That's my thought for the middle of sideboarding here. I do like Force of Will a lot. Their spells are very important when they do cast them, and it's important to be able to pick your spots to fight over them. Murktide Regent is my flying blocker. I like the Planeswalkers. Maybe Cage is too cute. It turns off Zenith, but it also turns off my Snapcasters, which are pretty important. Okay. No Cage. This is what I'm doing. This hand does not interact meaningfully with anything they're doing or pressure them. Even Force of Will is like, it's Snapcaster, gets me into Teferi maybe, but like, what does that even do? And is also pretty soft to Wasteland. I'm going to mulligan. Oof. Going to 5. All right, here's 5. Here's a 5 that looks worse than the 7 I mulliganed, but no, it's actually fine. I like all these white cards. I'm going to keep this bottom Murktide Regent and one of the Prismatic Endings. I do want to keep Jace in my hand as something to draw to. Lead on Arid Mesa. That way I can get basic plains if I need to and still have access to basic island. I'm going to plow that immediately. Swords of Plowshares is at a premium in this matchup, but I think... Ooh, I'm going to save that for Merit Lage. This is not a matchup where you just try to cheese people on Wasteland. They have so many lands, so many way to find lands. All right, come on, fetch land. Blue source. Oh no! My life is pain. That would have been insane. Just slam that card right there. They're pressing the turn. Come on, deck. Blue land. God damn it. Fuck my life. Okay, here's the back end of playing basic lands in your deck. I think this game would be over already if I had fetched Tundra on the turn where I could have fetched Tundra. But maybe they have Wasteland in their hand that they haven't deployed yet. I don't know. Oh, they're a blue deck. What's going on over there? Okay, okay. I'm gonna get basic island and tundra here. Do I need tundra? No, I think I want volcanic island. And is it Court of Cunning or is it Jace? I've already answered a Dryad Arbor, but if they have a second, Court of Cunning is just GG. I'm going for Jace. If they crop rotation twice here, I lose. I did just tap out of my... Oh! Yeah, okay, I'm dead. I'm just gonna concede to this. Unbeatable. Yeah, they got me with this blue mana, the surprise Hull Breacher out of green-white depths. I was never in my life gonna play around that. Okay. This build of the deck felt much better, like a much more cohesive Magic the Gathering deck than the first one I played. I still think, at the end of the day, Esper Sentinel and Stoneforge Mystic don't go in the same decks together. Unless you're like Stoneforging for Nettle Cyst, or like something that really goes off with Esper Sentinel, like some sort of like specialty affinity-esque kind of deck. Like if you're Stoneforging for Cranial Plating or Nettle Cyst, like that's the sort of deck you could see them together. But in like a normal blue Brainstorm deck, I think you get Esper Sentinel, Daze, and a bunch of Wastelands, or you get Stoneforge Mystic and more mid-range cards to plan around. I don't think they really complement each other in a way that is meaningful. Esper Sentinel is a cool card. We definitely saw opponents playing weird, respecting it a lot in the early game, constricting their options to make sure I don't draw extra cards. All of that is pretty smart. But it's easy to play around because this deck isn't applying pressure in a way that constricts mana at all, and it's not applying pressure in a way where people need to act early with multiple spells. Like if Esper Sentinel is your 1-drop and your opponent can just treat it like Daze and pay 2 mana to kill it, then yeah, I just don't think they work together. But this Stoneforge Mystic Jeskai deck felt pretty good on the outside. Like that, this shell seems like it has some play to it. It felt like high quality 2018 Legacy. If we had more payoffs in the mid range, like more Planeswalkers and probably more basics, like I think we can still splash red out of the sideboard and play back to basics. Like if we just get rid of Wastelands, put a bunch of basics in here, and then like keep the mountain in the sideboard for when we want that, and otherwise you're just a back to basics deck. There's a deck there. Or if you don't want back to basics, you could cut the Esper Sentinels, lean into Volcanic Island, and play Expressive Iteration. That card is much worse in a deck like this because your cards cost more on average. Like when you can Expressive Iteration and be pretty confident you're going to hit a 1-drop, that's a very different thing than if you, like on turn 4, if you like Expressive Iteration into like Snapcaster Mage, Narset, Murktide Regent, what do you even do with that? You just like put 2 of your cards away and like put 1 in your hand for later. It's not pretty. The Esper Sentinel deck, that Daze Esper Sentinel deck would probably want Expressive Iteration, but the Stoneforge Mystic deck probably doesn't. And that's where I'm going to sign off on this one. You can play Esper Sentinel, that's a deck. You can play Stoneforge Mystic, that's a deck. I don't think they complement each other in any meaningful way, unless you're building specifically with crazy artifact synergy, which is not what this deck is even close to doing. Those are my final thoughts on that. Thank you all for watching. Spunky, thank you for asking me to play this again. It was fun to revisit the deck and tune it up a little bit. I think we took a quantum leap forward and determined some really important things about the format. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Adios.